Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video. And today we're going to be taking a look at the brand new Danmachi collab, Bell Crenel, the Little Rookie. Now, Bell is kind of an interesting character because he is doing quite a bit, but it's all a bit not enough for what I would prefer characters to do, and it takes a lot of points. So, first off, he is light, magic. He has free gear, a sword and his armor that you get from the bingo missions. You could also get the Shuna gear from the bingo mission. So we go to the bingo board and go to the event. Here's a Shuna gear. The previous panel had the Bell gear, so that's where you get that stuff from. You don't have to make new gear, and it does come awakened at 6-star just by default when you pull it. So that is good. You just have to reforge it. But apart from the gear, he's on Dungeon Crawler, Adventurer, Protector of Peace, and Wholehearted Devotion. He is a single target support alt, giving Dungeon Crawler allies extra weakness strike. His first skill is the alt orb gimmick for greens, and then a status effect that alt rushes himself by 100% for 2 turns, or two times, and then also stacks 20% alt damage when he alts, which means that he is double stacking alt damage here, and he is stacking weakness strike for Dungeon Crawler here. So his alts are going to be very, very important. His second skill, 25% pierce power, and then when you hit turn 8, you have to use it again, and you'll get 100% pierce rate. So stacking here, lock to turn 8 on the pierce rate. Not something I'm super big fan of, but let's go ahead and try him out. Alright, we're going to put him on a Danmachi-ish team. Hestia, Bell, the new Shuna. Exalted Champion Milim is going to be the DPS character for now, until we get Ryu and Ice in the game. And then we've got Frieren and Fern, because alt buff, synergy power, synergy rate, alt damage, and everything like that. So we are going to use Bell to buff Milim as much as possible here. 25% pierce power. He's giving pierce rate on turn 8, but you have to make sure you have enough points to use that on turn 8. So you do, especially with this team, you have to be very, very aware of the amount of skill points that are going in and out on any given turn, because you're not making as much as you would think on a traditional green stacking team. So turn 1, we're going to use the 2 Shuna buffs because we need to, and that'll convert, and that'll give the green buff. And now we'll use Bell. So the second skill, 25% pierce power. Unless you happen to magically hit that 2% chance to pierce, it's really not going to do anything for you for a while, until you hit turn 8. The second skill, so now he has the status effect, and at the end of this turn, he will just automatically give himself 100% alt gauge. And that is free and easy. It costs 0 points right there. And that status effect will last until he sends 2 alts, whether they're EX or normal. Once he sends 2 of them, that effect is going away. So here on turn 1, nerf, and then just free alt gauge. Boom. Everyone has about half, he has 1.5. And that'll last until he sends this alt and 1 other. But we have a lot of points, so let's go ahead and pierce power again. And then we'll bring Shuna in for Frieren, use the green buff. Boom. And then that will allow us to use more pierce power. Now, the thing about Bell is that once you send that second alt, his status effect immediately goes away. Which means that at the beginning of the next turn, after you did your second alt, he will no longer alt rush. He'll get the benefits and everything that from sending the alts previously, but if we don't use it here, and then we send it, so let's pretend, well, let's not pretend, let's just do it. So here he's going to have another alt, he's going to alt rush himself again, so he's going to have an EX alt now, and that'll count his second. But when the turn clicks over into turn 4, he's no longer going to have that status on him because he's automatically removed it. And so if you want to maintain him having his alt buff and everything, you pretty much have to use it every other turn, even though it's still active. So let's just not do it right now. Let's just continue to use Pierce Power, buff Milim up as much as possible. We'll take Fern out of here. We'll use the multi-skill again. And then we can alt rush here, mill him, but also give us the green... actually, that's already active right now, isn't it? No, it's not active. So is that only a 1-turn thing? It's a 2-turn thing, so we have to reapply it. So boom. So now the alt orb has that green icon. It's acting like another green orb, like we're sending full hand 6. So then let's take Shuna out of here for Frieren, and then we'll use Hestia to give us the extra 110 skill points every time that we can turn this off. And that will allow us, with the multi-skill from Shuna, to use a lot more stacks of Pierce Power. So Pierce Power, boom, and we've got how much points? Let's do it again, boom, and then we have another Hestia, which means another 110 skill points, which means more Pierce Power. So you're really meant to use the multi-skill to maximum effect. As much as you can spam and as many ults as you can get with Bell, the better. So, because we've reapplied that status effect, he's gonna still continue to get his ult, but it is going to leave next turn. So this turn, we're not gonna use that skill, and we're gonna watch that effect just disappear. So, okay, took that, that's fine. Hestia will passively convert the 3 of these. Boom. And then Milim, she can just go away. We don't really need her for anything up front anymore. So, let's bring Shuna in. We will green buff once again. And then, because we're trying to buff Milim as much as possible, we have to be very aware of what we're doing. Let's use Hestia. And then, using those skill points, let's actually use the Fern buff now for synergy power. And then that will still allow us to use 1 stack of the Pierce Power. So that Milim can hold on to in the back. And then once we send this ult, we're not going to get another free ult gauge. We might get another ult because we're sending 6 greens. That's great, but we're not going to get an EX ult. So this status is now gone. It's gone. So when the turn clicks over to turn 5, he's not going to get another one, unless I had used the skill again on this turn before sending his ult. So here, it's great that we have a turn where he has an ult anyways, but he's not going to get any more. And there we go. He's just at where he is, and we're just going to have to deal with it. But you could always just reapply it, and there's no real harm in that. So, the green orbs acting like, or alt orbs acting like greens. We can take, what turn is it? Let's just take Frieren out, I guess. And then we'll use Hestia, give us another 100 points, 110, and then we can use the green buff to maximum effect. And this is what you want. You want Bell up front every single turn. You want him ulting every single turn, because as you can see, we're already up to, let's see, increases 60% right here. We've sent 3 ults with him, 20, 40, 60. And it's team-wide. It's not just limited to himself. It's not just limited to dungeon crawler allies. It is generically useful. So is his Pierce Power. It's unrestricted in terms of what units can use it. It's just, are you going to go to turn 8? Because that's when you actually get Pierce Rate. And that is what's more important, because having a butt ton of Pierce Power doesn't mean jack shit if you don't have Pierce Rate to activate it. And that is, I think, is his most major downfall, is because a lot of teams, a lot of Jubilee fights, a lot of burst phases, you would much rather have a high cost but guaranteed power and guaranteed rate character like the Masked Hero or Divine General Diablo, who can give you both, versus a character that you may not ever get to turn 8 before you nuke. Like the Summer Memories team, you probably weren't going to turn 8 if you were doing things correctly with the full meta. We would have never have seen Bell's Pierce Power take effect, regardless of if you could pierce that stage or not. We just simply wouldn't have had it. So turn 6, let's use the green buff again. We still have the alt orb gimmick, which is cool. Let's use Hestia, give us those skill points, and then we can do more stack of Bell's power, and we could reapply his alt rush ability, so it'll be active for this turn and the next turn. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Got a double Hestia, that's 220 points, plus the 118 here. She does not overcap, and we'll cover that a bit more on her own showcase. But she will not give you more skill points than what you can currently hold. But since she raises your cap, it's not really that much of a problem. But unlike Masayuki, where you are capped at 150, but he will overflow, Hestia will not. So, turn 7, we have this turn, and then one more alt. We don't have to use anything else here. Let's go ahead and just green buff, and make sure we're getting the most out of our orbs, and then we can Hestia, and we can get back a lot of things here. We forgot to use the magic state with Frieren. Not a super big deal. Let's go ahead and send this. 236 plus 110 plus 110, so we're going to have 456 points, which is just about where we would normally cap out at with a blue stacking team anyways, is about 450 on turn 8. So it's not like you're losing out on a lot of things, but there are turns where it's going to be very, very... Oh, no, we did use it. Never mind. I'm an idiot. When did I use that? Okay, well, never mind. Don't ignore me. I don't know what I'm talking about. Okay. But now we can use the EX alt up and the alt resistance down. We can bring Frieren in and use her alt and synergy rate, so we can activate that synergy power that Millam's been holding on to the entire time. And then we can bring Millam in. And we have a lot of points here with Hestia. Another 220, which means that we could use the personal buff with Millam, and we can use another stack of the Pierce rate, or Pierce power buff, which now has Pierce rate, because it's turn 8. So, boom, right here. Pierce power 25%. Awaken skill also increased Pierce rate for all allies, including Rearguard by 100% after 8 turns from the start of battle. It is turn 8. We can activate that willy-nilly. And now Millam will have more Pierce power and Pierce rate. And we still have some points left over, and I don't really know what else to do, because if we use that, we don't have enough for that. Not really a big deal. Boom. So looking at Millam, she has 120% ult damage, and that is strictly coming from Bell ulting almost every single turn since we've started the match. So we've had 6 ults with Bell, permanent 120 buff, plus the 120 from Frieren, plus the EX 100 from Fern. A lot of ult damage there. And then looking at Millam's actual skills, we've got 225% Pierce power, and we've got the Pierce rate to activate it. That's the most important thing. Plus Millam's own weakness strike. This is coming from sending the Shuna and Bell ults forever. And then this 100% is from Millam's own skill. Synergy rate, synergy power, that's from Fern and Frieren. 324% element attack is from Hestia. And then we've got all the element down and the ult stuff there. So let's go ahead and watch Bell's ult now that it's the nuke turn. Maybe he actually kills, I don't know. But then we'll send Millam. Hopefully he doesn't kill, but always potential. He is a single target character, and this is only EX2. So, his ult, I think, is fine. It's not my most favorite thing in the world. It definitely, I think, could have been a little bit flashier. He goes into his little Argonaut mode, and that's fine. It kind of hurts my eyes. But, okay. Let's see if he actually kills here. He does 8 million damage, and he crit, which the stage doesn't want you to crit, so he could have done more. Millam would have done upwards of probably 100 million or something like that, because she's a single target DPS character, and she's been buffed to all hell. But, I mean, Bell did 8 million for support ult. That's not terrible. Could be a lot worse. And he probably would have done more if we had not crit. So, that's what Bell is supposed to do. He's just supposed to buff everyone up, permanent ult damage, permanent pierce power, and then making sure that he can ult to give people those extra effects. Alright, so it's a very old team, but Fount of Wisdom, blue stacking team, but pierce focused, so we are kind of playing into what Bell wants to do. It's just that because we are not a green stacking team, and we are not getting a lot of skill points initially, we are going to struggle. We also don't have the multi-skill gimmick, which means we can only ever use one Pierce Power buff with Bell per turn. So that will hold us back a bit in terms of damage, but I think we can still make it work. So here, honestly, like, we're not really going to get a lot of benefit out of Bell's alt rush ability, because he's not going to be up front, because I don't want to send 5 blues in an alt. I want to send 6 blues, and that's why we brought Blanc, is to give us a full hand of blues. So trying to force in an alt orb when we don't have the gimmick to kind of offset that, really not a smart idea. So let's do the convert, boom, boom. We don't have enough points to use another stack of Bell. We have to wait at least a couple more turns so we can get enough points to convert and make something back, because primarily Diablo is quite old. He doesn't raise our cap very quickly, and there are limitations. But this is, oh my god. This is a blue orb team. So we have 110. So 1, 2, we don't have enough to use. Okay, hold on, I'll be right back. Alright, back on turn 3. Now we have an okay hand. So Bell, actually here, we are going to ult because I can't take him out. So let's do convert, and then 1 stack. Convert, 1 stack of Bell, and then we'll do a stack of Diablo. And we're going to get 20% ult damage here for Hinata as time goes on. We've gotten what amounts to 50% Pierce power just from 2 stacks of Bell. That's good. Hopefully we have enough points next turn to convert. And we can do this. It's just that, ideally, that's the only time we ult with Bell. That is an interesting hand. Sure, game. Alright, well maybe we do that instead. So, we could Rimuru convert. Boom. Okay. Let's get Albus in here for Rimuru. And then we'll convert that green. And then we'll Blanc here, because I need points. I need points. There's no room to send another Bell ult. And we don't have enough points to do another stack with them yet. So there is the limitation of being on a team without the multi-skill, without a lot of starting points or access to points just in general. He's going to struggle, even when you are playing into his gimmick of Pierce and a long-form team. Really needs the multi-skill, really needs someone to be giving a lot of points very early on to maximize that. And because we're not getting a weakness strike stack with him on Hinata, it's really not that efficient. So convert, and then the Hinata convert again, and then Rimuru. I guess we can do a stack with Bell for Pierce power, and then yeah, Rimuru can come in, and we can convert with him now, because we want Blanc for the protection gauge. So boom. Alright, so turn 5, we already have the Hinata EX ult, that's good. So as long as we have enough points to convert now, we can guarantee use at least a stack of Bell's Pierce power for the next 2 turns. 3 turns almost. Because turn 6, turn 7, maybe turn 8, but more than likely, whatever we have on turn 8, we'll just have to leave and we'll use the Albus Pierce resistance down, because that also has Pierce rate. So, turn 6, let's see what the hand looks like. That is acceptable. So, well, actually, yeah, okay, so we'll use this. Boom. Then we'll take Rimuru out for Bell. And then we'll use nope, not that. We'll use this stack. And then we can alt swap. Boom. And that will give us, no, we can't alt swap. Huh. Well, maybe we shouldn't have done that. Okay, well, let's do that instead. That leaves us with 55 points. See, that's a problem right there. I sacrificed points and an alt swap for Pierce power. Not really what I want to go for. However, I guess we'll just take Hinata out, and we'll send this 5 blue and 1 Bell alt. So we'll actually get 40% permanent alt damage here. Not that far behind on points. We still have 1 more turn to make it up. Okay. And cool. Not a lot of damage. Doesn't really matter. Weakness Strike's not doing anything. That was a full hand of blues, almost. Did I sent that, right? Yeah, no, I sent it. So here we just use the Albus Convert. That's fantastic. And then we'll take Bell out of here after we use one more stack of him for Hinata. And then we'll nuke next turn. And we'll call that a day, essentially. A day for this clip, at least. So, boom. Okay. Alt swap. We're going to have a lot of points now. And I think we should be good. This is not like an Oogie Boogie kind of damage team, right? It's so old. So old. Even with Hinata being skill fused, it's not going to be that strong, but I think it is capable of taking out this fight. Assuming we can get all the buffs active. So we have 390 points to use. Let's do another stack of Diablo for alt resistance down. And then, yeah, we're going to be whatever we have is whatever we have. So, boom, boom, boom. Weakness strike, pierce resistance down, the alt damage and the attack buff. Let's do the physical buff now with Rimuru. And once we do that, we don't have enough points to use another stack of Bell because he's at 100 now. So, we have 40% alt damage from the two alts of Bell, the 150 from Hinata herself, and then for permanent pierce power, we've got 125%. And then the enemy has 50% pierce resistance down. This should do enough damage, I would think. 13 million. Okay. For an old team like this, that's not bad. Could be better. It's not bad, though. And Bell was not in his best case scenario, but he did work. And that's, I guess, the most important thing. Alright, last team, the Frieren team. We're going to go into Heavenly Conquest of Mills. He's not that difficult. He is kind of annoying. But another stacking team, which has a lot of points, we could definitely use his Pierce here. It's just that, can we get to turn 8? Or are we going to die before that? Because all of this hinges on you spending a lot of time with Bell, which I think is where his biggest restriction is going to come from. And the reason why I don't think this Bell is going to age very well, because not all teams want to stack, not all teams want Pierce. And if that's not what you're trying to do, there's really not a big point of bringing him to begin with. Because if you don't want to Pierce, then you need not his Pierce skill. If you're not going to be there for 8 turns, you're only going to be there for 5 turns, then you're not going to benefit from his Pierce power buff. So let's go ahead and use this now anyways. And then we can use Raphael to steal into Frieren orbs. So yeah, a lot of Blanc right there. Perfect. Let's yoink that. Boom. Last Bell orb. Full 6 hand. And then Frieren in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So, will this work? I don't know. Emils might actually just kill us before we can get to turn 8, and we might have to nuke him early. He does not have a lot of HP, which is a good thing. But Emils removed our status, which means we're not actually going to get that free alt gauge right there, which a lot of enemies do. They remove your status effects now because of Reckoning, and because of Vengeance they can cleanse things, which doesn't apply to him, but we just used a skill, and it now costs 20 points, and we got actually nothing out of it. So there are fights that are going to do that. And a lot of fights nerf body and spirit skills. They nerf status effects because of Reckoning, because of invincibility, because of a whole bunch of other things. So Bell is going to lose viability in those fights as well. So you really have to keep that in mind. So let's take her out for Blanc. And then let's bring Raphael in for Frieren so she doesn't accidentally die. We'll use this buff from Blanc to give the oranges a nice rate up. And then we will, again, use Bell's 2 skills because we have the points for it. And then we'll use Himmel to convert into oranges, which will give us a butt ton of points. So, if we can make it to turn 8, then we'll be okay. If not, we're really not benefiting from him at all. So, this is why I'm not a super big fan of him. If you did pull for him, and you find him very useful right now, that's great. That's fantastic. But he's now dead. But he's now dead. And Emil still had one more in him. So, he's not going to show us anything now. Okay, we made it past turn 3. Bell is almost dead. So he can't stay up front in this fight. Burst fights are just not built for him. We're not going to be able to ult because he's going to die. We're never going to see his Pierce power because we're not going to live to turn 8, just straight up. And that's his biggest problem. He is way too restricted to a long form fight that he has just zero viability in really anything else here. And this is going to hold true. There are some long form characters like Divine General Diablo or Hero or Frieren and Fern for that matter who can also work very efficiently in a burst setting, 5 turns, 4 turns. Bell is not one of those characters. We cannot truly benefit from him until we go the distance, and that is a problem. So he needs to go away, because he's going to die. Can we kill a Mills here? I really don't think so. So what are we going to do? We're going to buff there, and then we'll do the Fern ult. And I don't actually know if this is going to kill or not, but let's do her synergy power buff, because everyone has synergy rate. And we'll do whatever damage. The point of this was also not to win. It was to showcase the limitations that Bell has, to keep things in perspective for people. So Roth, 81k, yeah, awful. And Frieren does 570, yeah. Off, not great damage. But if we had kept Bell in any longer, he wouldn't have ulted, he wouldn't have pierced, he would have just died. And that is not great. So, overall, Bell is very good on his own team when you're in a long-form fight with the team that wants Pierce. If you do not match those very, very, very specific conditions, he is going to be just a wet noodle, unfortunately. And he's not going to contribute all that much to your overall strategy. So, he's not limited, he's not restricted in terms of teams that can get his buffs, right? Because ult damage is universal, his pierce and pierce rate is universal, the ult is himself only. This is a useful buff for green stacking teams, of which there's not that many. But he does have a different form of limitation where only certain teams are really going to benefit off of him. As in, if you can build a team like that, then great. And if you can't, use somebody else. But that's my showcase for Bell. I know he didn't look that great, but I don't think he's a super great character either, outside of his own meta. But am I being a bit too harsh on him? Do you want to see a second showcase instead, trying to be a bit more positive? I don't, you guys let me know on that one. But that's it from me. Take it easy, and I'll see you all later.